Hello guys, in Windows Form applications, we can use if-else statement to do some validations. But what if there are 10 of text fields? How we can do that? We can use if-else statement each and every cases, or otherwise is there any easy method. Now there is a library called Fluent Validation. Actually, that allow us to do validations in various way. In to check empty strings and to check whether the field is email, or we can do some length checking using this library. Now we are going to create a Windows Form application using C#. Let's open our Visual Studio and then create a new project. We are going to choose Windows Forms app with .NET framework. If you want to find where is this, you can select the C# here and then platform as Windows, and then here you will see this Windows Form .NET framework option. Select that and then go ahead. I will choose the project name as Fluent Validation example. Okay, now we can choose the project location if you want, and then the framework will be the latest version that showing here. I'm actually using the Visual Studio 2019, but this is 2023, but this is still working. Alright, our project has been created. This is our main window. The first step that we are going to do is just create a new class inside this project in the Solution Explorer. If you cannot see that, go to View and then click the Solution Explorer, and then here select the project, click Add New Item. In the Visual C# items, select the class, and I will say this as customer, or otherwise you can use student or any other actor name that you want to insert in this form. We need to get customer details, that's why I say customer here. So each customer will have different fields. Here in this class, I'm going to say this as public class. So here I can zoom this out for you and then type public. So by that way I can make this class public. Here firstly, the customer may have the customer ID, but in the database you can also use the auto increment ID, so you can stop avoiding this field if you want. So I can say customer ID, and I am going to use get and set for this, and I'm going to say public string first name, also get set. Okay, now I am going to add some comment here. If you want to check what are these in the future, you can use comments. I'm using the ghost, the actually that's called here, this one, ghost duck. Here it shows gets or sets the customer identifier. Okay, the comment is added, and then the next one I'm going to say public string last name get semicolon set semicolon inside the braces. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do public string email, and this will have get set. The last one I will say public string address, inside braces I can say get set. Okay, now that is it. I'm going to open my form here and click the data source here. Click add new data source, select the object, then press next. Here if you cannot see your project here, all you have to do is just close this, and then in this build click rebuild solution. So it will fix your issue if found. Now if you cannot see the data sources option here, you can press this view other windows, select data sources. You can also press Shift Alt D in order to get that window here. Okay, now you can press this add new data source and then select object, click next. Now click this little button here also in your project. Now select the class that you created, which is customer in my case. Click finish. Okay, here you have to change this into details. By pressing this button you can see this option. After you change that into details, here select your each field and then select the desired layout component that you want to use. Now for the address I can use a text box, and then to customer ID I can also use text box. Email I can use text box. First name text box. You can see there are multiple options that we can use here. List box, label, combo box, and then if you press this customize, you will see other options that you can enable. So for the last name I can also use text box. Now the next thing that you have to do, just add the layout component in this window. To do that you can press this data source name and then just drag that into here. You can see those fields has been added, so you can customize these if you want. For example, I can change this text size by selecting all. Here like this you can press shift and it will select all components, and then if you change this font size into 16, you will see font size is changed. Now I'm going to also reduce this window form size because it is too large. You can just these component to here and then just reduce the size. We can increase the height of the text field, this one, and this one, this one, this one. Alright, now finally we need a button that allow us to save this data. I'm going to say button here, and then it will show the component that we can use. Just drag that into here. I'm going to say button text as btn save. Alright, now also the text of this button I can say save customer. Okay, now we can double click this button. The button click event has been created. Now I'm going to create a new class that include all the rules for the validation of these fields. For that I can just say new item here by right clicking, add new item. I can say the class name as customer validation. So I can say customer validator. Finally, we have to install the Fluent Validation library. Click these tools and then go to NuGet Package Manager. Go to Manage NuGet Packages for Solution. Select the Browse section. Here you need to type Fluent Validation. Select this Fluent Validation package. After search result appears, select the project and then click install. It will ask you some permission here. You have to press OK there. It is been installed. You can see it is going in the below. Okay, now we can close this. In this customer validator class, we are going to inherit abstract validator. Actually, this is available in the Fluent Validator package, so we need to import that into here. So I can say abstract validator. If you cannot see this, you have to press this light bulb, and then using Fluent Validation we can fix this warning. You can see this code added using Fluent Validation. Okay, now in this angle brackets we are going to provide the class name that we created, which is the customer. It includes all the fields. Okay, now in this class we are going to create a method. Now the main thing is we have to change this class into public, and also this method will be public one. So I can say customer validator. This will be a constructor, so add braces. We are going to say rules here. I can say rule for, inside this parenthesis we are going to pass in a lambda expression x equals greater than x dot customer id, and after the parenthesis you can say the rules. Now this should be not empty, parenthesis semicolon. The next one we are going to set the rules for rule for parenthesis x equals greater than x dot first name. After the parenthesis we can say the rule as not empty, semicolon. Now if you want to pass in some custom message for this error, we can say with message parenthesis. In this double quotations we can pass in the message. For example, the first name cannot be empty. Okay, now we can go to the next one. Next rule for parenthesis and then x equals angle bracket x dot last name. This should not be empty, so we can say not empty, and then parenthesis we can pass in a message dot with message, and then parenthesis again. I will say last name cannot be empty. Okay, the next one we are going to do the validation for the address. Rule for parenthesis and then lambda expression here x equals greater than x dot address. This should be not empty, and then parenthesis we will pass in a custom message I can say address should not be empty. Now if you want to add another validation also, you can say dot here and then length. Inside parentheses you can say the minimum characters count and the maximum characters count. If this address is less than 20 characters, this error will trigger, as well as if this error is larger than 255 characters, this error will be come. So I'm going to change this one into please check the address. You can see as this we can use multiple validations. If you want to add another one, you can check this one. For example, email address. Actually address is not the email address, but you can use this. Like this we can use multiple validation options. Now finally we are going to check the rule for our email. Rule for parentheses x equals greater than x dot email, and I'm going to check dot email address and then parentheses. Now you can set a custom message, but this will contain some default built-in message. Okay, that is it for this. I'm going to open my form. You have to go to the click event for this save customer. Now each and every time we are going to create a new customer. So here I'm going to say customer. The customer is the variable name, is equals to customer binding source. Actually this is available because of this data source that we created here, and then we can say dot current as customer. But before this we are going to notify our binding source that this button save is clicked, and then please stop editing for these text fields. So I can go ahead and say customer binding source dot end edit and then parentheses. Okay, now below I'm going to create a if statement that checking the condition customer is not null. Okay, and then add braces. Inside these braces I'm going to say customer validator, the class that we have created here, validator as the variable name, is equals to new customer validator parentheses and then semicolon. Okay, now we can say validation result. This is a built-in class available in the Fluent Validation. So we can press this yellow bulb icon. So we can say using Fluent Validation result. Fluent Validation dot result is added into the above. Okay, now I can say results as the variable name is equals to our validator dot validate, and then add parentheses. Inside parentheses I'm going to pass in my customer, this instance. Finally add the semicolon, and after that we will create a variable using this ilist data type. Actually this will contain all the errors that will appear in these results. So I can say angle brackets. Inside this I can say validation failure. This is available in the Fluent Validation package. So as the variable name I can say failures is equals to results, this one, dot errors, And after that we are going to create a if statement that checking whether result is not valid. We can say result dot is valid, and then we can add exclamation mark in front of these results. Alright, now at braces, inside these braces we are going to say for each, and at the parentheses, inside this parentheses I'm going to say validation failure in failures, which is this variable. Okay, now at braces, inside these braces we can show a message. I can use message box dot show. This will contain the error message from this failure dot error message, and then the second argument we can pass in a title for our message box. So I can say message or something like that, otherwise error or validation error or something like that, and then we can add buttons to this message box. For that, after the comma I'm going to pass in message box buttons dot okay, and then next one I can show the icon. What is the icon for this message box? I can say warning, message box icon dot warning. Alright, at the semicolon, and after that we can go ahead and say return, because if an error occurs there are no need of rechecking these conditions because they are a validation error. That's why we are using the return to in this loop. The last thing that I'm going to do here, just double click this form and then it will go to this form load method. Now I'm going to just add a comment. Firstly, I'm using this ghost doc package in order to generate these comments. Now here I can say customer data source dot the data source is equals to new customer. Alright, end up with the semicolon. Now I'm going to open my form again to check these fields. Okay, now actually I need to change this customer ID as the first one, and it is text box, and then I'm going to accept multi lines into this address text box. Right click that, go to properties, and then if you scroll you will see this multi-line option and set that equals to true. You can find that multi-line option in the section of behavior. Now you can just increase the height of this address text box. For that, let's increase the window form size and then just down the button little bit, and these fields also, and I can increase the height now like this. Alright, now I can run this application to see how this works. Now I'm going to press start here, and then I will just type the ID and it should show me the error for this first name. You can see that showing. If I enter the first name, it will show the error for the last name. Actually these errors comes in order of the customers class that we created, get and set, do you remember? And then if we press email, you can see it's not a valid email, that should be at and domain. Now it should show the error for the address. Actually the address error is not showing because of the, let me go ahead and show you these roles. The address I have to say dot not empty and then parentheses. That error is appears now, address must not be empty. Okay, I hope this video helps. If this helps, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.